Good guys, my name is Lil Tomo. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog toy item collectible review. As you know, I'm Lil Tomo. This is the little blue star Sonic the Hedgehog. I need a job and I need work badly. I'm still looking for work these days, but heck, it's kind of semi a day off, so I figured I might as well do a quick review for you guys. This is a interesting item. I had this in my collection for a while. I'm not entirely sure how I purchased this. I'm pretty sure, if I can recollect, I got this in like a bundle. Basically, a person had a whole bunch of Sonic stuff and I purchased everything, and I don't know, I think I max bid on this item. Nobody wanted it and I got it either way. I was like, okay, let's check it out. I might actually use this for practical use other than just collectible, because it's just a tin. But you can only talk so much about a tin. I will take it out. I will show you the ins and outs of this tin. So this is a Sonic the Hedgehog tin by, if I pronounce this right, Palisades. I'm going to pronounce it as Palisade. Of course, if it's wrong, I'm sorry. If I'm right, awesome. Alright. So as far as I received this, I don't know if this was part of the packaging or if this was essentially just the guy just wrapping it around. But it is a pretty well stirred actual tin for the most part. It does have a slight issue which I will address shortly, but I want to go through the ins and outs of this first and foremost. So as you can tell, this is predominantly for those who may not be too much of the know-how, more or less pictures that would, I guess, come out during the Sonic Adventure era back in the year 2000. By that I mean when the Sega Dreamcast was more or less out and it was somewhat kicking off. Unfortunately, it did die, the Sega Dreamcast, but when it was somewhat kicking off in the beginning, you could essentially just purchase the game, and around, normally when a game comes out, they release like artworks and merchandising stuff and whatnot, just like the Sonic Boom, how you have pictures that relate to Sonic Boom. This one more or less focused and related to Sonic Adventures-esque series. I will tell you why I say that, simply because there are certain pictures which you can see from the either side which will indicate that. But yeah, so on the very front you have a picture of course, Sonic the Hedgehog on a skateboard. Back then, and even now for the most part, he's always been that radical character, that cool character, that extreme hardcore, you know, go do everything right but in an extreme way aspect of it, which I thought was pretty awesome. This image alone, the reason I even bothered to even bid on this, not because I thought it was rare, I don't know if it is, to be honest, but simply because the artwork itself, it sold me on so many levels. Now, it would be very hard to see on my webcam, but you can somewhat see a fluorescent sort of S color, which kind of gives us this opaque, luminous effect to it. See on this side how it's kind of somewhat luminous. It's not because it's been dried out in color, but it gives this very luminous effect to it. So it's not just a pure black. And I'm talking too much about the background, that image, but essentially what I'm getting at is it's got this luminous effect to it, and it gives it this spice, this flair for the actual prominent image, which is the very beginning. Now I'm gonna assume it's obviously not a moon. Now my cam has a very poor way of showing this, but this little cylindrical oval behind Sonic the Hedgehog is an actual homage to his actual head of Sonic the Hedgehog, in that if you guys ever played Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic and Knuckles the game, you know how they had the two images of one half was Sonic and the other half was Knuckles? That was the illusion at the actual back. Like I said, it's very hard to see. You can somewhat see it. There's the spikes on the other side, that's his little ear. You can somewhat see it, but it's very hard to see on my cam. So the picture itself of Sonic is awesome. Loving this picture. It's very unique. It's very rare to see nowadays images of this nature, which is very over exaggerated in terms of the character and official artwork that is of this characters, which I thought was pretty awesome. And of course you have the image of, not image, the wording of Sonic the Hedgehog. So that's the actual front bit of it. On the actual other side is none other than Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman, depending on who you, I guess, which generation you follow. I always say both because I don't want people to get confused. Well, technically there is a story behind it ish. Sonic Archie, the comics, somewhat explains it, but I don't know if that's an actual visual canon story, but it is what it is. So you have, of course, Dr. Eggman. I think that's when they first translated him over to from Dr. Robotnik to Dr. Eggman. Which fun trivia, they only called it Dr. Robotnik in the US when he first came out, but it was actually officially Dr. Eggman. because he looked like an egg. So you have an image, there's nothing on the background, you just have him, very menacing, very awesome, which I think is phenomenal. I like images of this. Like I said, other than this one and maybe 2 other items that I have, you don't really see much of this, which I think is pretty awesome. On the actual other side, you have my favorite character next to Sonic, Knuckles the Echidna, and he's wearing some beastly glasses. Now, those glasses, if you could technically make a correlation, should only appear in Sonic Adventure 2, being that you know those little visors where I think Sonic Adventure 2, those visors you could see like hidden stuff or something. Obviously, if you want to try to make a comparison, but these glasses are just standalone, and it's just him being badass. I think this actually suits him. I love it, to be honest. He's got his big over-exaggerated fist and his arms and whatnot. You know what I always found interesting? This is just an observation with the fandom of Sonic, of course. They had an issue with Sonic Boom's Knuckles where he looked proportionally out of control. You know, they always made the joke about him skipping leg lays and he's got this upper torso. He just looked like a unit, like pretty massive. And yet here you have an image where his fists are literally almost the size of his head, and you don't see much people complaining about that. Double standard? I don't know. Now at the actual bottom you just have the words Sonic the Hedgehog, and of course you have that logo to Palestine or Palestine, or I don't even know how I'm pronouncing it. Now the last image I want to show you is the back. I think personally this is one of my most favorite images. Now unlike the front where everything is pretty much, you know, luminous and it's blue, on the actual back it's somewhat the same. Only difference is it's purple, and that's what I find awesome. The correlation or the harmony between the purples and the blues. I know this is getting very artsy, but that's the best way to describe it. So the background is exactly the same as far as I'm aware as the front. Only the major difference is the image, where you just have him, you know, playing his DJ and whatnot. Now I know for a fact, as far as I'm aware, there was a commercial where he was basically DJing for a bunch of Sega characters and whatnot. I'm quite aware that was an American commercial, but as far as I can recollect, growing up here in Australia, there was never an Australian commercial of that nature. We did have Dreamcast Sonic commercials, but not to that nature. Now it could have been that there was, but I never saw it, or it could be the simple fact that it never came to me. But you just have him being DJ, being cool, just being Sonic, which is pretty awesome. I was thinking, why don't they just make like a Sonic music game? But I don't know how popular that would be. At the very top, you do have a handle which you can hold. We'll just hold it like, "Dear sir, please put money into my tin." You know that. I don't know what practical use you will have for this, because unless this is designed for like a toddler, I don't see an adult necessarily holding on to this. It does fold in perfectly fine, so it is good for storage. It is made from China, as hopefully you could see that, and of course you do have a very secure lock, which is was stock standard at the back. So if you open it up, it's literally just an empty tin, nothing more, nothing less. Like I said, I wouldn't have bought this by itself. I would have purchased this as a bundle set. Now there is one slight criticism I have. Well, there's two, but one of them isn't necessarily justified. It's more of a personal nitpick than an actual justification. The first one is it's prone to scratches. Now you won't be able to see quite well, but there's like a little scratch line. That isn't part of the design. It is literally the image painted onto the tin. So if you were to accidentally drop it or scrape it against the table or anything of that nature, it would actually scrape off the image or the casing of it. Which I think this is a pretty decent piece, and it's pretty. Besides that thing at the top, it holds pretty well in terms of just the. Now I would have been super bummed if it did the image itself, but since it was just the bezel at the back or just the border, I don't have a personal issue with it as much. But that's pretty much the major nitpick. If you ever purchase one of these or you already have one, be super cautious not to scratch or anything of that nature. Now the other drawback to this, now it's more of a personal nitpick, it isn't an actual drawback, it is small, meaning I can't think of any practical thing that I could really do with this other than just have it on display like that and just ship it around occasionally. Other than that, I don't know. But look, it's pretty alright. I do recollect that I got it for, I think at the time, $10. pretty cheap in a bundle pack with various other Sonic items and that sort of stuff. Where would this have originally come from? I'm not 100% sure. I would imagine just your local retail stores at the time. You know, those small mom and pop stores that tend to be up in there. Other than that, it is what it is. I'm happy with it. It does its thing. Other than that, the small little nitty bitty thing it is. Rarely, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen this since the day I bought it. Now, that could be A, that it wasn't that popular and nobody cares to sell it, or B, that it's a legendary item. I don't know, to be honest. I would laugh if this is like a very sought out item. I doubt it, but I would laugh if somebody sends me a message saying, I would gladly spend you 5,000. I'm like, what? But I doubt it. I think it's just a cute little item. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think of this item. Is it cool? Is it bad? Is it something you actually have? If you actually bought one in the store, which store is it? Because I'm actually curious to know that more than anything else. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this review. Speed on, take care, and be cool.